The colony was quiet at night. Too quiet. Only the soft hum of the power grid and the occasional hiss of air filters filled the silence. Most humans in the settlement locked their doors after sunset, afraid of the shadows that moved beyond the walls. But one man living in the last block of Habitat Row could never escape the feeling that something was watching him. His name was Daniel. He was not a soldier, not a scientist. Just another worker, repairing machines and cleaning filters. His life was simple, until the alien neighbor arrived. The alien's room was right beside his. The walls between them were thin, made of reinforced metal, but still not thick enough to block out the sounds. At night, Daniel would hear the noises, heavy breathing, claws dragging along the floor, and sometimes a strange low hum that shook his chest like thunder. The colony whispered warnings about this species. They called them the Veilkin, tall, strong, and unpredictable. Few humans had ever spoken to them. Even fewer lived to tell long stories. Daniel tried to ignore it. He told himself it was nothing. Just another alien. Just another neighbor. But one night, something changed. It began with the walls. Daniel woke up to a scraping sound, sharp and slow like metal being cut. He pressed his ear to the wall. From the other side came the scratch of claws. Not random, deliberate. He froze. His heart raced. Then silence. When morning came, Daniel checked the wall. To his shock, deep marks stretched across it. Not random scratches, but lines, symbols. They looked almost like letters, almost like his name. Fear twisted inside him. He didn't tell anyone. If the colony guards saw it, they would arrest the alien, or maybe arrest him. People who drew the attention of aliens rarely survived long. That evening, as the lights dimmed across the settlement, Daniel tried to stay calm. He cooked his simple meal, sat at the table, and tried to eat. But he could feel it, eyes staring at him through the thin wall. When he looked up, his blood ran cold. The door between his room and the corridor slid open for just a moment. A tall shadow stood there, framed by the pale light of the hallway. It didn't move. It just stared. Two glowing eyes, sharp and unblinking, locked onto him. Daniel didn't breathe. He didn't blink. His fork trembled in his hand. And then, as silently as it had opened, the door closed. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He sat awake, listening. Hours passed. His room was silent. Then, a sound, thump, something, landed outside his door. Heavy, alive, slowly, Daniel walked closer. His legs felt like stone. His hands shook as he reached for the door control. The metal slid open with a hiss. No one stood outside, but something was there. On the floor lay a bundle, wrapped in strange alien fabric, pulsing faintly with light. The fabric moved as if something inside was breathing. Daniel's heart pounded. His instinct screamed, "Don't touch it." But curiosity pulled him closer. He crouched down and reached a shaking hand toward the object. The bundle stirred. Something inside shifted, pressing against the fabric. Then, suddenly, it opened. Small creature unlike anything he had seen, crawled out. Its skin shimmered in the dim corridor light, colors shifting like liquid metal. Its eyes glowed faintly, the same way the alien neighbor's eyes had glowed. It looked at him. It blinked once, and then it hissed, a high-pitched sound that cut deep into his ears. Daniel stumbled back, nearly falling. The creature skittered, away into the dark faster than his eyes could follow. The door behind him slid open. Daniel spun around. The alien stood there, tall, towering, its form almost filling the corridor. Its skin shimmered faintly, reflecting the dim lights of the colony. Its glowing eyes stared at him, not with hunger, not with rage, but with something worse. Intention. It pointed at the empty bundle on the floor. Then it pointed at him. Daniel. froze. His body screamed to run, but his legs wouldn't obey. The alien tilted its head slowly, studying him like a scientist studying an experiment. Then, without a word, it turned and disappeared back into its room. The door closed. Daniel was left alone with the strange fabric still glowing faintly at his feet. The next morning, the colony was buzzing with rumors. Settlers whispered that mating season was coming. The Veilkin, they said, became restless, aggressive, and unpredictable during this time. It was a season when humans were told to stay away. But Daniel had no choice. He lived right next door. And now, the alien had marked him. He didn't know what the glowing bundle meant or why the alien gave it to him. He didn't know if it was a warning or a gift. All he knew was that the colony felt different now. Every sound echoed louder, every shadow seemed longer, and every time he tried to focus on his work, he felt eyes on him. Watching, waiting, choosing. That night, Daniel sat alone in his room, staring at the glowing fabric. He wanted to throw it away. He wanted to burn it. But something inside whispered, "Keep it." The lights flickered. The hum of the power grid trembled. And through the thin metal wall came a sound that made his blood freeze. The alien's voice. Low. Rhythmic. Not human, not words. But somehow, Daniel understood. It was calling his name. The colony sirens wailed across the settlement. Red lights flashed through the narrow corridors, washing every wall in blood-colored glow. The message came through every speaker at once. Attention. Mating season has begun. All humans remain inside. Doors sealed. Do not engage with alien neighbors. The voice was calm, official. But Daniel's heart raced. He sat frozen on his bunk. His room felt smaller than ever. The thin walls shook with heavy sounds coming from the other side. His alien neighbor was awake. All day, Daniel had tried to convince himself that last night was a dream. The scratches on the wall, the glowing bundle, the way the alien spoke his name through steel. But now, with alarms screaming and the colony locking down, he knew it was real. The Veilkin were entering their most dangerous time. Soldiers said their blood burned hotter. Their minds became wild. They hunted, they fought, they chose mates, or prey. Humans never went near them during this season. But Daniel lived beside one. The floor vibrated. Boom, boom, boom. Something pounded against the wall. Daniel's breath caught. He pressed his back against the opposite side, eyes wide. The sound grew louder, closer, until he thought the wall would break. Then silence. He waited, muscles locked in fear. And then, knock, knock, knock. Slow, deliberate. The sound came from his door. Daniel didn't move, he didn't breathe. His room felt colder than ice. Knock. Knock. This time harder. The metal door rattled. He whispered to himself, "Stay inside. Stay inside." That was the colony law. But when the third knock came, the door control flickered. The lock failed. With a hiss, the door slid open. The alien stood there. Tall, shoulders brushing the ceiling. Its skin glowed faintly and shifting, patterns, like stars moving across night sky. Its eyes burned with light, sharp and unblinking. For a moment, neither moved. Daniel sat frozen, his body refusing to obey. The alien stepped inside. It ducked slightly, folding its huge frame into the small human room. Its claws scraped the floor. The strange scent of its skin filled the air, sweet, heavy, almost choking. Daniel wanted to scream, but no sound came out. The alien bent down. Its face came close, too close. Its eyes locked onto him, not with rage, but with something else, something worse. A decision. The creature raised a clawed hand and pointed at the glowing bundle still lying in the corner. Daniel hadn't dared to throw it away. The alien hissed, a sound like metal tearing. Then it touched its own chest and pointed again. First, At the bundle, then at Daniel, a message. Simple, clear. You, chosen. Daniel shook his head, whispering, "No, I'm not, no." His hands trembled. His heart slammed in his chest like a drum. The alien tilted its head. Slowly, it pressed one claw against the wall. It carved a deep line, then another, until symbols formed again. Daniel stared in horror. It wasn't just lines this time. It was his full name. Suddenly, heavy boots pounded the corridor outside. Colony soldiers. Their voices shouted commands. "All units, check habitat row. A Velkin has broken curfew." The alien turned its head sharply, eyes narrowing. It knew they were coming. It hissed again, low and dangerous. Then, with shocking speed, it grabbed Daniel's wrist. The touch burned hot, like fire searing through his skin. He cried out, trying to pull free. But the alien's grip was unbreakable. Daniel's door opened again, this time to armed soldiers. They froze at the sight. The human worker locked in, the claws of a glowing Velkin. "Release him," one soldier shouted, raising a rifle. The alien's body glowed brighter, its patterns pulsing. Daniel felt his head spin, his chest tighten. He thought the alien might crush him. But instead, it released him. Slowly. Carefully. Daniel collapsed against the wall, clutching his wrist where red marks burned. The soldiers stormed in. They aimed their weapons. The alien didn't move. It stood tall, chest heaving, eyes burning, but silent. For a long moment, the room held nothing but tension, as if one wrong breath would spark a massacre. Then the alien hissed softly, turned, and walked out past the soldiers without a fight. The door sealed shut. Daniel sat trembling, staring at his wrist. The red marks glowed faintly. Faint symbols burned into his skin. One soldier lowered his gun and muttered, "He's been marked." Another whispered, "It's too late for him now." Daniel looked up, confused and terrified. "What does that mean?" The soldiers exchanged uneasy glances. None answered. They only left, leaving him alone in the silent room. That night, Daniel couldn't stop shaking. The red marks pulsed under his skin like fire. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the aliens, glowing eyes staring into his soul. Outside, the colony lights dimmed. The sirens fell silent, but the walls still shook with distant noises, the sound of aliens fighting, hunting, choosing. And through the thin wall, Daniel heard it again. The alien's voice, low, rhythmic, not human. But this time, he understood one word, his own. It was calling him again. And he knew, with sick certainty, that this season had only just begun. The colony felt like a cage. Every door was sealed. Every corridor was silent. Soldiers patrolled with heavy boots, rifles always ready. People whispered behind locked walls, afraid to speak too loudly. Everyone knew the Velkin were restless. Everyone knew humans had to stay away. But Daniel's problem was different. The alien wasn't staying away from him. It wanted him closer. That night, Daniel tried to sleep, but his body refused. His wrist still burned with glowing marks, as if the alien's touch had sunk beneath his skin. He wrapped it with cloth, hoping to hide it, but the faint light still leaked through. He tossed on his bunk, staring at the ceiling. Every sound made his chest tighten, the hum of machines, the click of distant doors, the heavy breathing through the thin wall beside him. Then, at midnight, he heard it. Tap. Tap. Not at his door, at the wall. He held his breath. The sound came again, slow and steady, like a code. Tap. Pause. Tap. Tap. Pause. Tap. Daniel pressed his ear to the wall. A chill ran through him. It wasn't random. The alien was calling him. The tapping stopped. And then, without warning, his door slid open. Daniel jumped to his feet. His heart slammed against his ribs. The alien filled the doorway, tall and glowing, its patterns moving like fire under skin. But this time it didn't step inside. It simply stood there, waiting. Then it moved one claw slowly through the air, pointing down the hall, toward its own chamber. Daniel shook his head, backing away. No, I can't. His voice was broken, a whisper. The alien tilted its head, its eyes burned brighter, unreadable. Then, for the first time, it made a sound that wasn't a hiss or growl, a low, deep tone, almost like music. It was calling him, inviting him. Daniel's hands shook. Every warning in his mind screamed, "Don't go, stay inside." But something stronger pulled him forward. Curiosity, fear, and something else he couldn't explain. Step by step he moved toward the door. The alien didn't move, only watched. When he came close enough, the creature turned and began walking slowly down the corridor. Daniel followed. The alien's chamber was at the far end of Habitat Row. Daniel had passed it many times but never dared to look inside. Now the door slid open, and he stepped into a world that didn't feel human at all. The air was thick, heavy with a sweet scent that made his head spin. The walls glowed faintly with shifting patterns, almost alive. Strange crystals pulsed in, corners, humming softly. At the center of the room was something stranger still, a circle carved into the floor, filled with glowing liquid. It rippled as if breathing. Symbols lined the edges, the same kind Daniel had seen carved into his wall. Daniel's skin prickled. He wanted to run, but his legs wouldn't move. The alien stepped into the circle and turned toward him. It raised its claws and spread them wide, a gesture that looked like welcome, or command. Daniel whispered, "What do you want from me?" The alien's voice rumbled low, like thunder rolling deep underground. Words? No. But in his head, Daniel felt them. Images, feelings, a strange language that wasn't spoken, but pressed into his mind like fire. He saw visions, shadows of the past, humans and Valken clashing in blood and fire, broken settlements, screams. Then something stranger. A human standing beside a Valken, not enemies but bonded, glowing with shared light. Daniel staggered back, clutching his head. The images vanished, leaving only the alien's burning eyes. "No," he whispered. "I don't understand. I don't want this." The alien stepped closer, towering above him. It reached out, claws inches from his chest. Daniel froze, certain his heart would be torn out. But instead the alien pressed its palm lightly against his chest. Heat surged through him. His skin burned, his vision blurred. The glowing marks on his wrist flared brighter, spreading up his arm. He gasped in pain, collapsing to his knees. The alien's voice filled his skull again, louder, clearer. Chosen, bound, not prey, not enemy. Daniel shook his head violently. "No, I'm not." But the alien cut him off, its claws lifting him easily to his feet. It leaned close, its glowing face inches from his. "You are mine." Before Daniel could respond, alarm shrieked through the colony. Again, soldiers' voices echoed down the hall. "Containment breach. Valken chamber open." The alien turned its head sharply, growling low. It released Daniel and stepped back into the glowing circle. The patterns on its body flared brighter, like a shield forming around it. The door burst open. Soldiers stormed in, rifles raised. Their eyes widened at the sight. Daniel standing in the center of the alien's chamber, glowing marks spreading across his arm, while the Valken loomed over him like a guardian, or a captor. "Step away from it now," a soldier barked. Daniel's chest heaved. His mind spun. He didn't know what to do. The alien growled, and the crystals around the room pulsed dangerously. The soldiers gripped their weapons tighter, ready to fire. Daniel stood caught between two worlds, his own people with guns aimed at him, and the alien neighbor who had chosen him. The air was electric. One wrong move would mean blood. The soldier shouted again, "Move, Daniel!" The alien's voice rumbled in his mind once more, fierce and unyielding. "Stay." Daniel's hands trembled. His mouth was dry. His body screamed to run. But his heart whispered something terrifying. He wanted to stay. The colony was not the same anymore. The air carried tension. The halls carried whispers. Fear spread like fire. Humans were disappearing. One worker from the water station never came back after his shift. A family in Block 6 locked their door at night. But in the morning, the door was open and their room was empty. No blood, no struggle, only silence where voices used to be. Everyone said the same thing. The Velkin were taking them. And Daniel lived right beside one. The soldiers came knocking first. "Open up," they barked, fists pounding his door. Daniel let them in, his stomach twisting. Their eyes scanned the room, every corner, every wall, like he was already guilty. "Have you seen anything unusual?" the captain asked. Daniel froze. His mind flashed with memories. The glowing circle in the alien's chamber. The burning, marks on his arm, the way the creature's voice filled his head. He wanted to lie. To say no. But the words stuck in his throat. The captain leaned closer, eyes narrowing. "We know it marked you. If you're hiding something, you're no better." "Then it?" Daniel swallowed hard. "I haven't seen anyone disappear," he said finally, his voice weak. The soldiers didn't believe him. He could see it in their eyes. But they left, warning him. "If you see it again, report immediately, or you'll be treated as one of them." When the door shut, Daniel's knees almost gave out. The alien had not returned since the soldiers stormed its chamber. The walls beside him were silent. The heavy breathing was gone. But Daniel knew better. It hadn't left. It was waiting. That night, he dreamed. He saw flashes of light, broken images, memories not his own. Humans running through fire. Velkin, standing over them. Screams that ended too quickly. And then, something stranger. A vision of the alien neighbor kneeling, holding not a weapon but a body. A human body. Its glowing eyes dim, its hands trembling as if in grief. Daniel woke drenched, in sweat. The glowing marks on his arm burned hotter. By morning, more news spread. Another settler missing. A guard this time. His rifle found abandoned in the corridor. The colony buzzed with anger now, not just fear. People demanded answers. "They're monsters," someone shouted in the mess hall. "We need to wipe them out before they wipe us out." Others argued. "If we kill one, the rest will attack. Do you want a war?" Voices rose. Fists slammed on tables. The settlement was splitting apart. And in the middle of it all, Daniel sat silent, his food untouched. He felt every eye turned toward him. Everyone knew he lived beside the alien. Everyone knew he was marked. They didn't see him as Daniel anymore. They saw him as a risk. When he returned to his room, he found the door unlocked. He was sure he had sealed it. Inside, the glowing bundle he had hidden in the corner was gone. His heart pounded. He spun around, only to find the alien standing, in the middle of his room. Tall, glowing, watching. Daniel's mouth went dry. What did you do?" His voice cracked with fear. The alien tilted its head. No words came, only a low rumble. Then slowly it raised its claw and touched the wall. Symbols burned into the steel, glowing faintly. Daniel stared, horror and confusion twisting inside him. This time, the symbols were not his name. They were shapes of humans. Small. Many. A family. The alien turned, its body shuddering as if in pain. It pressed its claws to its own chest, then pointed outward, toward the colony. Daniel froze. Was it trying to say something? That it wasn't the one taking humans? That someone else was? The door hissed open again. Soldiers stormed in, rifles raised. They froze at the sight of the alien. "Step away," the captain shouted. The alien didn't move. Its glowing eyes locked on Daniel. For a moment, Daniel felt the voice again, deep in his skull. Not enemy. Not hunter. Truth. But the soldiers didn't hear it. They only saw a monster. "Get down, Daniel," the captain barked. "We'll end this now," the alien hissed, body glowing brighter. The crystals in its skin pulsed, ready for violence. Daniel's chest tightened. If they fired, blood would cover the walls. His wall. His home. Wait, he shouted, stepping between them. It's not what you think. The captain's eyes blazed with fury. Move aside or you'll die with it. Daniel's hands trembled. He didn't know what he was doing. His whole body screamed at him to get out of the way. But something deeper held him there. Something in his bones told him the alien wasn't lying. The Veilkin's glowing eyes burned into his soul. Trust me. The standoff held for long seconds. The soldiers' fingers tightened on their triggers. The alien's body glowed like fire. And Daniel couldn't move. At last, the captain cursed and ordered, "Stand down, for now." The soldiers lowered their rifles, but their eyes promised they would be back. When they left, Daniel turned. The alien was already gone, as if it had melted into the shadows. Only the glowing symbols on the wall remained. Humans. Families. A message no one wanted to hear. That night, the colony buzzed, louder than ever. People demanded blood. The soldiers planned raids. But Daniel sat alone, staring at the wall where the alien had left its message. For the first time, doubt grew in him. Maybe the Veilkin weren't the monsters everyone believed. And if that was true, then someone else was. Daniel woke with fire in his veins. At first he thought it was fever. His body trembled, sweat dripping down his skin. But when he pushed back the blanket and looked at his arm, his breath caught in his throat. The glowing marks had spread. What had once been faint lines on his wrist now climbed across his arm, curling like vines. They pulsed softly, symbols alive beneath his skin. And worse, they moved. Shapes shifting, letters forming. His own name, glowing on his flesh. Daniel stumbled back, panic clawing his chest. He grabbed a rag, wrapping his arm tightly. But light leaked through anyway. No cloth could hide it. And then came the knock. Open up. Soldiers again. Voices sharp, fists pounding against his door. Daniel hesitated. If they saw his arm, it was over. But the pounding grew louder, harder. He had no choice. The door slid open. The captain stepped in with two guards, eyes scanning him quickly. Reports say the alien has been near you again, the captain said coldly. Show us your arms. Daniel's mouth went dry. His body screamed to obey, but his mind refused. He kept his arm behind him, trembling. Show us, the captain demanded again, voice sharp as a blade. Daniel shook his head slowly. It's nothing. I'm fine. The captain's eyes narrowed. In one swift motion, he grabbed Daniel's wrist and yanked it forward. The rag fell away. The marks glowed in the dim light, alive and unmistakable. The guards gasped. One whispered, "He's bonded." The captain's lip curled. You're no longer human in their eyes. Do you understand that? You've been claimed. Daniel's stomach dropped. I didn't choose this, he shouted, desperate. It forced me. But the soldiers didn't care. To them, the mark was proof. The captain leaned close, his voice a hiss. We should exile you right now, before you turn into something worse. He turned to the guards. Spread the word. No one goes near him. If he steps out of line, we put him down. When they left, Daniel collapsed against the wall, clutching his burning arm. He felt the whole colony turning against him already. And he was right. That day. Whispers followed him through the halls. Faces turned away when he walked by. Mothers pulled their children close. Workers who once nodded in greeting now glared with hate. In the mess hall, no one sat near him. When he reached for a tray, someone spat in his food. Alien's pet, a voice muttered. Daniel wanted to scream, to fight back. But what could he say? The proof glowed on his skin. He wasn't safe among his own people anymore. That night, he returned to his room and found the alien waiting inside. It stood tall, its body glowing faintly, patterns alive across its skin. Its eyes locked on his arm immediately. Daniel backed away, anger and fear boiling inside him. Look what you did to me, he shouted, ripping away the rag to show the marks. They think I'm not human anymore. They hate me because of you. The alien stepped closer, slow and calm. Its clawed hand reached out, touching his arm lightly. The marks flared brighter, pulsing in rhythm with the alien's own glow. Daniel gasped, a strange warmth flooding him. The anger in his chest trembled, almost fading, but he forced it back. Why? He whispered. Why me? The alien's voice rumbled low, not words but feelings pressed into his mind. Chosen, bonded, bridge. Daniel shook his head violently. No, I don't want this. I don't want to be your bridge. I just want my life back. But the alien only stared, unblinking, as if his protests meant nothing. A sudden alarm broke the moment. Sirens wailed, echoing through the colony. Daniel froze. The alien's body stiffened. Then came the soldier's voice through the loudspeakers. Rival Valken detected inside the perimeter. All units to defense positions. The alien growled low, a sound of recognition. Its body flared with brighter light, almost blinding. Daniel's chest tightened. What does that mean? Rival? What's happening? The alien didn't answer. Instead, it turned and strode toward the door. Before leaving, it looked back at him once. In Daniel's mind, the word came like thunder. Protect. And then it was gone. Chaos shook the colony. Screams filled the halls as people ran for shelter. Soldiers shouted orders, boots pounding. The walls trembled with heavy impacts as if something massive moved outside. Daniel staggered into the corridor, heart racing. He saw flashes of light at the far end, gunfire sparking against walls. Shadows moved, tall, inhuman. And then he saw it. Another Valken. Bigger, stronger. Its body glowed a darker color, patterns jagged and violent. It moved like a storm, claws tearing through steel as if it were paper. Soldiers fired, but their weapons only slowed it. The alien neighbor appeared, slamming into the rival with bone-shaking force. The two creatures clashed, light against light, claws against claws. Daniel stumbled back, eyes wide. He had never seen such raw power. The air itself shook with their blows. But then, horror struck. The rival's glowing eyes turned toward him. For one chilling second, Daniel realized the truth. It wasn't here for the colony, it was here for him. The rival let out a roar, breaking free of the fight. It charged down the corridor, straight toward him. Daniel's legs locked in terror. His heart pounded so hard it felt like it would burst. The alien neighbor roared and lunged after it, but the rival was faster. Daniel could only stare as death rushed closer, glowing eyes fixed on him, on the mark burning on his arm. And in that moment he finally understood. The mark wasn't just a claim, it was a beacon. It was calling them all to him. The rival alien charged. Steel walls shook with its roar. Soldiers fired, bullets sparking against its glowing skin. But the beast hardly slowed. Its jagged light pulsed like fire, its claws tearing through everything in its path. And at the end of the corridor, Daniel stood frozen. He couldn't run. His legs refused. His heart pounded like a drum of war. The alien neighbor slammed into the rival at the last second, knocking it off course. The ground shook with their impact. Screams filled the colony. For the first time since he arrived here, Daniel realized the truth. This was no safe human settlement anymore. This was a battlefield. The two Valken fought like storms colliding. Claws scraped sparks across metal walls. Glowing symbols flared brighter with each strike. The rival alien's body burned with jagged red light, while Daniel's neighbor glowed with calm, steady blue. Every blow sent shockwaves through the corridor. Pipes burst. Lights flickered. Daniel ducked behind a fallen crate, covering his head. His ears rang from the deafening sound of metal ripping and claws crashing. But even hidden, he felt it. The rival's eyes never left him. The captain and his squad stormed in, weapons raised. Fire! Fire now! Dozens of rifles lit the hall with flashing bursts. Bullets struck both aliens, tearing chunks of glowing skin. But neither creature stopped. They fought harder, as if the pain only made them stronger. The rival roared and slammed the neighbor into the wall. Steel bent inward, cracking. Then its head snapped toward Daniel again. It wanted him. Daniel's neighbor knew it. With sudden fury, it slashed across the rival's chest, drawing a scream that rattled every bone. Then instead of finishing the attack, it stepped between Daniel and the rival, shielding him with its own body. Daniel's breath caught. For the first time, he saw fear in its eyes, not for itself, for him. The rival lunged again, shoving the neighbor aside. Its claws tore through the floor, dragging sparks. The mark on Daniel's arm burned hotter, glowing so bright it hurt to look at. Daniel screamed, clutching his arm, collapsing to the floor. He felt the rival's presence inside, his mind now stronger than before. Mine. The word thundered in his skull. Daniel's vision blurred, the world tilted. He couldn't tell if he was awake or dreaming. Images flashed, Veilkin hunting, chasing, claiming. His body shivered as if being pulled apart. And then, a second voice. The neighbor's voice. No. Protected. Bound. The two voices clashed inside his skull, tearing him in two. He cried out, pressing his forehead to the floor. The captain shouted again, "Pull him out of there, get him away from them." But no soldier dared move closer. The air around the aliens burned hot, glowing light filling the corridor like a storm. Daniel lifted his head slowly. Through the haze, he saw soldiers arguing with each other. "We kill them both," one shouted. "No, if we kill the wrong one, the others will attack us all. He's already one of them. Look at his arm." Daniel's stomach dropped. His people weren't just afraid of the aliens anymore. They were afraid of him. The rival slammed the neighbor down again, claws pinning it to the floor. With its free hand, it reached toward Daniel. Daniel scrambled back, his back hitting the wall. The mark on his arm pulsed harder, pulling him forward, even as his body fought to escape. "Help me!" Daniel screamed at the soldiers. But none moved. Their rifles shook in their hands. Their eyes were filled with hate, not mercy. The rival's claw reached closer, so close Daniel could feel the heat of its light. And then, the neighbor roared. With a burst of strength, it broke free, tackling the rival sideways. Both crashed, through the wall, shattering steel and vanishing into the next corridor. Smoke filled the hall. Sparks rained down. Daniel gasped for air, his body trembling. The captain stepped toward him, gun aimed directly at his chest. "You're not human anymore," he growled. "You're their prize, their bait, their curse." Daniel froze, staring down the rifle barrel. "I'm still me," he shouted desperately. "I didn't choose this." The captain's eyes were hard. "Doesn't matter. You're marked, and because of you, they'll keep coming." He raised the gun higher. Daniel's chest tightened. This was it. But before the shot came, the wall behind them exploded. Both aliens burst through, locked in furious battle. Debris scattered. Soldiers screamed and fired wildly. The captain was thrown aside, his gun lost. Daniel crawled backward through smoke and chaos. His arm burned brighter than ever, pulling him toward the fight, toward the light. For a moment he saw it clearly. This wasn't just a battle between two aliens. This was a war over him. And the colony was caught in the middle. The rival roared, shoving the neighbor back. Its glowing eyes locked onto Daniel again. The words slammed into his mind like a hammer. "Mine." The neighbor roared louder, stepping in front of him once more. Its voice boomed across his skull. "Chosen." Daniel covered his ears, but it didn't help. The voices weren't outside. They were inside him. Around him, humans screamed. Soldiers fought. Walls crumbled. But Daniel realized something terrible. This war wasn't between Veilkin and humans anymore. It was between Veilkin and Veilkin. And he was the reason it had started. The colony was breaking apart. Walls burned. Lights flickered. The floor shook with every strike of claws. Humans screamed and scattered as two Veilkin tore through steel and fire, their glowing bodies locked in endless battle. And in the middle of it all, Daniel. He pressed against the wall, his arm blazing with unbearable heat. The marks were no longer just lines. They covered his chest, neck, and face, pulsing like a second heartbeat. He felt every clash of the aliens inside his skull. This wasn't just a fight between them. This was a fight for him. The rival alien roared, jagged red light flaring across its body. It slammed Daniel's neighbor to the floor, claws pressing into its throat. The sound was like steel snapping under pressure. Daniel staggered forward, shouting, "Stop!" His voice was lost in the chaos. But the aliens heard him, not with ears but with their minds. The rival's voice thundered inside his skull. Mine. Submit. Survive. The neighbor's voice followed, steady and burning. Chosen. Bond future. The two voices clashed like fire and storm, tearing Daniel in half. His knees buckled and he fell to the ground, screaming. The soldiers surrounded the scene, weapons raised, but they didn't dare fire. "He's bonded to them both," one whispered. "No," the captain growled, rifle steady. "He's the key. If we take him out, they'll both fall." Daniel heard every word. Terror crushed his chest. His own people were ready to kill him. "Please," he shouted, his voice breaking. "I'm still human." No one answered, only cold stares and twitching fingers on triggers. The rival alien released his neighbor and stepped closer to Daniel. Its red glow flared brighter, casting shadows across the ruined corridor. With one claw, it reached out, hovering inches from his marked chest. Daniel's vision swam. For a moment he saw himself reflected in the creature's burning eyes. Weak, trembling, already claimed. The word came again. Mine. Heat surged through his body, threatening to crush his mind. His arm felt like it would burn off completely. And then, another presence. His neighbor. It rose from the floor, battered but unbroken, and placed its massive claw gently on Daniel's back. Warmth spread through him. Not fire this time, but strength, a bond. Not prey, not slave. Bonded equal. Daniel gasped, torn between two forces. His body trembled violently. He realized with horror what was happening. The rival wanted him as a prize. The neighbor wanted him as a partner. Two choices. Two futures. The captain raised his rifle again. "This ends now." Daniel's heart pounded. If they shot, the aliens would tear the colony apart. If he chose wrong, the war would never stop. He stood, barely able to breathe. His glowing skin lit the corridor like a beacon. Both aliens froze, waiting for his decision. And in that silence, Daniel understood the truth. The mark wasn't just a claim. It was a bridge. He wasn't supposed to belong to them. He was supposed to connect them. He lifted his arm, light burning brighter than ever. The mark spread fully across his body, symbols blazing like fire on steel. "Stop," he shouted, his voice shaking the air. For the first time, both aliens froze. Their claws lowered, their glowing eyes locked only on him. The rival hissed, stepping back. The neighbor bowed its head, chest heaving, Daniel's mind filled with visions again, this time not of war, but of choice. He saw humans and Valkans standing together, not as enemies but united. He saw peace. He saw survival. But he also saw the price. His life would never be his own again. He would never be only human. The rival snarled, refusing. Its jagged red light flared, and it lunged. Without thinking, Daniel raised both hands. The symbols on his skin exploded with light. A wave of energy blasted outward, throwing the rival across the corridor. The steel wall bent inward, sparks showering. The rival screeched in rage but did not rise again. Its glow flickered, dimmed, and finally went dark. Silence followed. Daniel collapsed to his knees, chest heaving. His body trembled with power. He didn't understand. The soldiers lowered their rifles slowly, staring at him with wide, fearful eyes. What? What is he now? One whispered. The neighbor stepped closer. Its massive claw rested gently on Daniel's shoulder. The glow of its body pulsed in rhythm with his own marks. For the first time, Daniel heard its voice clearly, not in his head, but aloud. You are Bridge. The words were deep, broken, but clear. Daniel looked up, tears burning his eyes. I didn't ask for this, he whispered. The alien's glowing eyes softened. Future never asks, it chooses. The soldiers looked between Daniel and the alien, unsure. Some raised rifles again, others lowered them. Fear and confusion divided them. The captain finally spoke, his voice heavy with dread. You've doomed us, boy, you've doomed us all. Daniel stood slowly, his body still glowing. He met the captain's eyes, voice calm but trembling. No, I saved us. That night the colony burned, but it did not fall. The rival alien's body was dragged away. The settlement rebuilt. But whispers spread everywhere. Some called Daniel a traitor. Others called him a savior. And in the quiet of his room he stared at his glowing skin, feeling the alien presence always there beside him. He wasn't human anymore. Not fully. And deep down, he knew this was only the beginning.